I am Justin Ornette Graham.
And I'm Nariba Shepherd. And this is Terms of Service. Yo, 2 times in a row.
I know. Yeah, we're doing it.
It's like we do this regularly or something.
It's kind of like we do the damn thing.
You're like the best hype person, and I'm the worst hype person.
And it's a beautiful balance that we have between us, and I'm here for absolutely fucking all of it.
I'm here for it, for sure.
How
balance. Are you? I'm doing pretty good. As far as the world is going.
The pause is getting.
It's because I can't shut my brain off. So when someone's like, oh, what's going on? I was like, well, Big Daddy P is being an asshole. Mm-hmm. But I am living for Ukrainian soldiers not giving a fuck. That has been we are not meant to be in a war state all the time. However, I like to see such a strong sense of camaraderie for a country because America doesn't know that. Yeah.
I mean, these are facts. I mean, and I have said it before. I don't believe I ever said it on air, but I'll say it now. I'm realizing that a kink of mine is white on white crime. And so it's pretty fucked up to say, but I'm obsessed with it. We all know what happened, on the date that shall not be named.
Yes.
January 6th.
Follow through.
Yeah, follow through. And, I was just like, I'm watching this shit in real ass time, and I'm here for all of it. But then also, very recently, I rewatched a documentary on the Fire Festival, which also...
love them.
Give
me that shit.
Just let me bathe in it.
That
I was like,
is wild.
I'm like, this is the best thing ever. But then I went into a deep dive and watched a documentary about the admission scandal. And I was just like, I am living my best life right now because the caucasity is phenomenal.
It's real.
It's so real.
That's how I feel watching Real Housewives of Orange County.
Oh my
I'm
God.
just like, you can't complain about anything.
But
anything.
But
I can't stop watching it because I'm just like,
it's great.
It's so foreign to me.
It's great. Yeah.
Love it. Potato chips for the brain.
Yeah.
Which is how I'm dealing with the war state that we are seeing unfold.
Well, I mean, and the very interesting thing about, the work that we do here at Terms of Service is, we are recording in factual times.
Yeah.
However, we will be dropping
in the future.
A time that I sincerely hope that things have changed. They've shifted. But...
That's too soon.
But I know. I'm just, it's just like a bitch can hope. And
you know what? You got to have that. I reverted when COVID happened for the 9th time.
Also, I'm really impressed by your growth because, it's now COVID.
Yeah.
But it used to be Ponderosa.
Well,
so,
it
but there's an expiration date. There's an expiration date now, which will have passed by the time that this drops, because the mandate here in Chicago will have expired. And I was like, I didn't realize that you could put a date on that. But you know what?
Listen,
on
the CDC website, it says 2024 is when things will start to look similar to normal again.
I thought the CDC website literally just had a bold headline as to say, the fuck you thought.
I mean, for sure. Yeah. But I'm talking about when it first was going on.
Yeah.
And I actually went to the CDC website to be like, yo, WTF.
Right.
That's the timeline that they projected.
Yeah.
And capitalism is no.
Right.
And science was I guess.
Yeah. It's I'm gonna need I'm gonna need y'all to get back to work.
Yeah.
Because
Papa Fauci.
Because
he's sort of like a Smurf.
That's endearing. That's so kind.
Like Papa Smurf.
Yeah.
Papa Fauci.
I have never thought of it that way, but I'm trying to make a very smooth transition, but fuck it, because it's not gonna happen with what was just mentioned. We have a guest.
Yeah, we do.
Another guest. Hi, Dan.
Hi.
So sorry about me not figuring out how to like make that smooth transition, because we do not believe that you look like Papa Smurf or a Smurf at all.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for not making me look like a Smurf. I appreciate it.
You know, of course. And I mean, shout out to Nariba for forever burning that into my brain.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Because you're not.
I'm not.
So,
I'm not.
So
it was funny. I said it.
Yeah, exactly. It's all good. So did you snort?
Yeah.
Sick. It's awesome. But yes, so we are here today with the wonderful Dan Mason. And as per TOS tradition, we must start where it is appropriate.
Yes.
What's your sign?
I'm a Libra.
Oh. Is this our first Libra?
I don't think so.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like I haven't heard that before.
Really?
I don't know. I'll go back.
We'll have to fact check later.
I'll
But
go back in the show notes.
I enjoy a good Libra. My roommate Delaney is a Libra, and my sister-in-law is a Libra, and my friend Rick, who was nominated for James Beard Award through Butcher and Bee, found out today.
Dope.
In the past.
Congrats.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for him. Rick Olamacher, you salty dog. He listens to this when he goes to work on Mondays sometimes. So,
oh my God. And he's probably, maybe, but hopefully not, going to drop everything that he has in his hands and be like,
I hope not. He's driving to work.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was like, don't drop the wheel, okay? Because truly, Jesus take the wheel at that.
Libras are my favorite because y'all are like secretly messy. You like love to live for a dramatic moment, and it's not on purpose. It's like you just happen to always be around it, and it doesn't have to involve you. But like y'all are also very much can be devil's advocate-y because you feed off energies of people around you, and you want to like be pleasant and like make people feel comfortable. And y'all are very indecisive a lot of the time. It's hard to like.
Are you sure we've not met before?
Oh my God.
It's
amazing.
I want to like have that energy about me, but I can't because I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, this is sloppy.
So I think,
and I would never.
I think that because we're gonna get into this, you know, later in the episode, but I was talking to someone very, very recently about like restaurant management. And I'm like, the funny thing to me about restaurant management is that they are like, it's like the passive aggressive kind of like light the match and then just like walk away.
And watch it burn.
And I feel like the greatest example of that is side work and silverware. It's like, it's very Lord of the Flies.
Oh my God.
It's just like, well, you know what? It's just like, this is the person that you have to check out with. And it's just like, once you're done, like, it's whatever. And then you just leave the kids at home for them to all start bickering and fighting amongst themselves.
Who's gonna do the roll-ups before? Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like, I need another layer of roll-ups here. And it's just like, well, you're not gonna get them. Like this, like, it's just like, it's all the things. And no one wants to actually have the conversation with the management about it because they're just like, well, we have to figure this out on our own.
Listen, Delaney, love her. The first time the last staff meeting that I had with her and the owners of the place we were at, I like did my whole spiel. These are the counts. This is what we're doing on the menu tonight. And I was like, I really have to get back to work. I got up. They were going to start like the front of house check-in. And as I'm walking down the hallway, Delaney's like, if you think one person could be the general manager of this spot, you're fucking crazy. And I was like, she just lit a fucking fuse and threw it in there. And I was like, okay, I'm leaving now.
Yeah.
I will be listening at the doors. But like,
you're like, I need to know. We need to know how it ends.
Yeah.
You know, but before we talk about how it ends, we must, begin with how it all began.
That was a very good attempt at a smooth transition.
I tried.
I saw that coming. I liked it.
Yeah, thank you.
I liked it.
Thank you.
I didn't. It was unexpected.
Nice.
So
you.
like, whew.
Thank you. I was just like
it.
the whole time that you were speaking, Reba, I was just like, I was like, I think it's gonna work. I really think it's gonna work. I just need her to like keep saying the things that I believe that she's gonna say, and then
If you want either Justin or I to be at a speaking event for you, this is a good sample of what it's gonna be like. But you can hit us up.
But you can totally hit us up. Terms of Service Podcast on Instagram, and
Yeah.
also connect at termsofservice.media.
Yeah.
We're always here for you.
Yeah.
So yes. Back to originally scheduled programming.
The beginning.
What's up, Dan?
Hey,
Yeah. So, if you would be so kindly introduce yourself, talk to us a little bit about your background. You have a very interesting connection to the TOS fam here. And it's on a couple different notes, and I feel like it will naturally arise in this conversation.
it probably will.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, who the hell are you, Dan?
My name is Dan Mason. I'm from the Chicago suburbs. I did not grow up in a restaurant. I did not grow up with any family members that worked in restaurants. I had an older brother, a year older than me, Joe Mason. Shout out to you.
Hi, Joe.
And he had a job working in a movie theater, and he had money, and I wanted to hang out with him and his friends and do stuff, and I didn't have any money, and I saw a sign of a restaurant that was across the street from in the little shopping mall in the suburbs that we grew up in that said not hiring. And I walked in at the age of just under 16, and they said, "What can you do?" And I was like, "I got 2 arms and 2 legs, and they work to the best of my knowledge." I'm like, "I'll do anything."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Come in tonight as a busboy," and I started there, and that was the downfall.
Oh, damn.
Yes. We all know the beginning.
Yeah.
The beginning of the end, as they call it.
But I would not trade it for anything else in the world. I went to school. I thought I was going to be an engineer. I've always been math, science minded.
Shout out to you, because no.
Taint.
Not
Taint for me.
No.
Hard pass.
No, can't do it.
I hit a point where I was like, it's work and it's not interesting and fun anymore. And that was right at senior year of college. And I was like, all right, I'm good. I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to continue this as a path, but
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going to go.
Well, the
Yeah.
closest that I've ever come to that of engineering is the quote from the cinematic masterpiece of
God.
Zoolander,
Oh, God.
where it's that fucking center for ants.
Yes.
And it needs to be at least 3 times this big.
Yes.
So that is me in a nutshell, and an engineering background. Continue, Dan.
Gotcha.
Yes.
My nephew just got into the University of New Hampshire for civil engineering.
I always forget that New Hampshire exists.
We've mentioned it twice already today, so it's real.
It's the
I know
smallest,
people
it's the
from
smallest
there.
state in the country, right?
Yes, and
No?
it is. It
Max
holds
Max is literally. Oh,
yeah, no,
that's
no,
what I
Rhode
was
Island is
thinking. Oh,
correct.
yeah.
Is Hawaii smaller?
No,
No.
Rhode Island is like.
Max seems pretty damn convinced over here, so I guess we're just gonna let him have that.
No, it is Rhode Island. He's correct.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But Laconia, New Hampshire, is the meth capital of the USA.
interesting.
Fun fact.
Yeah. Is it
Self-proclaimed?
fun? And is
I
it
have a
self-proclaimed?
my roommate from college is from that town, and the entire time we were in college, her dad would send clippings of like meth labs being blown up and schools having to close down because they were going to raid a meth lab and it was probably going to blow up.
All I'm
the time.
envisioning right now is driving into that town and there's like a Schitt's Creek kind of sign, but it's
Oh, yeah,
not a
for
husband.
husband.
It's not 2 people standing next to each other, but it's a house blown up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. It's
I mean,
just like,
essentially, there's a little bit of a turn of events there because they're teaching critical race theory, and Laconia response to like people being upset about that was like, well, you can pay for your kids to go to private school.
wow.
That was their like response.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's, that's rude.
They also have one of the biggest motorcycle rallies in the US as well.
I'm
I
learning-
know way too much about Laconia now that I'm talking about
Yeah, I
it.
was
I
just-
feel weird.
Yeah, I was like,
That's-
well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and just like really dive into like everything that is New Hampshire.
I'd
Tell
love
us
to
more.
learn about it.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I'm going to fire up the Wikipedia link. So, yeah, because a bitch got questions.
Yeah.
But we only have so much time.
No
so
problem.
once again, Dan,
How did I get to how did I get into this?
Yes.
You know what? I was fortunate enough to be raised in a family that my parents were open to being the house that we hung out at, right? So we had a basement that the kids hung out in all the time, and mom and dad knew all of our friends and would greet them at the front door. And sometimes, this is before there were cell phones, and you'd call your friend up
What
and go,
was
hey.
that like? No, just kidding. Just kidding. When I was younger,
were
I had
part of that.
I know, like I had the long, like cord.
You were grounded. That's why the kids out here are crazy. They never had corded phones.
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were tethered.
Yeah, you were tethered to
You were
something.
tethered to that conversation.
Yes, most certainly. But then when cell phones came out, I was just like, you definitely have to call me after 7, okay? Because this conversation is not enough to be running up by minutes, okay?
God.
I was like, I don't want to
that.
hear about the hot goss, okay? But I do, but call me at 7:01. Thank you.
It's cheaper then.
Yes.
It is.
But so hospitality was always around me. And my mom had always come down, hey, are you guys hungry? Can I get you something to eat? And she would eat, she just got off work. She wanted to relax and put her feet up, but she had guests in the house and she just wanted to take care of them. And it wasn't something that I was cognizant of this in any way, shape, or form until reflecting on it after, a couple decades in the industry.
Right.
That I guess I got that gene where if I see somebody who's uncomfortable in or out of the restaurant, like I want to go, if somebody's stumbling with a bag of groceries trying to get in their apartment, I'll be like, can I help you with that? It's just a thing that.
Oh, Dan, okay, I have a confession, okay? Because I know that I'm going to be called out if I don't share this story. So I feel the exact same way as you. However, a couple years ago, I just want to preface this that I am a child. I am a grown ass child. And so anytime that someone like trips, I laugh.
Yes.
Because I can't help it. And I feel bad, but I cannot. It's such a visceral reaction for me. I cannot stop it. And there was this woman that I saw from across the street. She had her... I don't like
Walker?
The car. No.
I was about to be like, how bad of a person are you?
The portable shopping cart.
Thank you, that. And so she was crossing the street, and it Chicago is the city of potholes. So, I mean, you can kind of, you can figure out what happened. And I just saw her go down, and I let out the biggest.
Oh my God.
Just manic laugh that I could muster. And she looked across the street right at me, and she was just like, you're a fucking asshole. And I was like, I'm coming over to help you. She's like, stay away from me. And I was like, I'm sorry. So I am with you. I'm with you. I want to do that. And for the people that are listening, I will gladly help you with your groceries.
Oh my
if
God.
I fall while carrying your groceries, feel free to laugh in my face, because that is the karma that I fucking deserve. Yeah.
I humor is a good reaction though. That kind of laugh, following it up, you're not, I don't think you're going to hell because you did not continue to laugh at her.
Right.
And you offered your assistance.
Right.
Sorry, we're playing a
musical drinks.
Yeah, musical drinks. And
thank you.
Actually, thank you so much, Ryan. Before we continue, we want to give a absolute shout out to our friends over at Seedlip, because this cucumber ribbon situation is giving me life. And so it is made with Seedlip herbal, and it has a cucumber basil shrub, lime oil, and topped with soda water. So beautiful.
That's pleasant and refreshing.
It's so refreshing.
Yeah, this is how you
The
quench a
cucumber
thirst.
shrub.
Yeah, this is exactly how you quench a thirst.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah, and also the fact that it's calorie free, it's the best thing. To me. Because we keep the calories in the kitchen over here. We keep the calories in the kitchen over here.
You're giving me Real Housewife vibes right now.
Great, because you brought it up earlier. So yes, no
It's okay.
words.
You're a fancy bitch, and this is a fancy bev.
And cheers to that. Mm-hmm. Dan, back to you.
Where did we
We're
leave
wild
off?
ones over
Exactly.
here.
What is a memory
Where
of
were
where
we?
we?
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you, the moment that I reflect on about restaurant management and how my life was impacted on it. My brother and I were Boy Scout or Cub Scouts, and we took a field trip to Chicago. We grew up in the burbs.
Which burb though?
Buffalo Grove.
Buffalo
I know
Grove,
about her.
North.
I heard
North.
her.
Always liked change the name to Buffalo Groove, but there is nothing funky about Buffalo
I was
Grove.
just like,
At
That's
least
why you
not
can't
in
have it.
Not in the
I would
70s
be
and 80s and 90s.
shocked if there was a groove in Buffalo Grove, but that's fine. But maybe there was, or there can be.
In people's basements, there might be.
Love that answer. There you go.
Damn right.
So we took a field trip, and we were in a McDonald's getting some bite to eat and going back to wherever we were going, a museum or something. And I ran to the bathroom, and when I came back, everybody was gone. And apparently they did a count, and I was missed, and that was all good. But I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade at the time, so whatever that is, 10 years old, and I was afraid. I was in downtown Chicago, and I was abandoned, and I was sitting there crying in the restaurant, and I didn't know what to do. And this guy comes up to me and goes, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, I was just with a group of people, and he left, and he's like, "Here, come with me." And we go outside, and we look down the sidewalk, and everybody's gone.
Goddamn.
And he goes,
It's just stressing me out.
and this is again, this is pre-cell phone times, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
not like he call the leader and tell him to come back. So like call my mom's office, and your son is here. He's at a McDonald's. I'm the manager. He's with me in the office right now. The people were probably going to come back, and once they realize he's gone, so we're just going to keep him safe here. And then he took me for a tour of the restaurant and was like, "Do you like McDonald's food?" And I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Can I get you something to eat?" And I was like, I don't know, an apple pie? And he's like, "Let's learn how apple pies are made in McDonald's."
Huh.
So he took me back and like kept me entertained in the kitchen and was like, "This is the fryer. These are French fries. This is the soda machine." And I was kind of like, "Cool, thanks,
Whoa,
man." And
yeah.
then I stopped crying because of the ease that he put me at. And you put a sweet pastry in front of my face, and I'm okay too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they came back, took me on my way. I never saw the guy again. Never got a chance to say thanks. So whoever you were, thank you. You instilled to me what a restaurant manager can do.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
That's like V cute,
yeah.
very hallmarky.
Yeah, and I have to ask this question because I know inquiring minds would be really upset with me if I didn't ask. Was the shake machine working? Was it?
You know what? I wish I had an answer for you,
Because
but
it probably wasn't.
I was a Coca-Cola kid, so I was.
You
drinking
never got
out of
like
the
a chocolate
fountain.
shake from McDonald's?
No.
You know what? No.
No.
It's fine. It's fine. Well,
Bad memories of a friend's younger brother who got the green shake at
Oh, a Shamrock Shake?
the Shamrock
Yeah.
Shake, and got sick from it and defecated a different color, an unnatural color.
no.
Listen.
No.
Listen.
No.
We've all been there, sort of.
You know what I'm talking
I
about.
know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. Well, I no longer care if the shake machine was working. So I've pressed past that. But
So there you go.
yeah, so here we are. But I mean, I think hearing a story like that is a really beautiful thing because I mean, hospitality is there's so many touch points to it. I mean, you are hospitable. You want to take care of someone. You want to be able to share your knowledge, your culture with people, and it's also really difficult work. So to have a restaurant manager that was like, "Hey, young buck,
Yeah.
let me show you around."
Well,
That's
it's also
awesome.
like telling of a different time where like hospitality was not just about like hitting all the points of like what a transaction should look like.
right.
And I want us to like get past that. I want us to get back to like a place where we value interactions with other people instead of like
Genuinely.
avoiding like customers essentially. And they're like the people that we have taken jobs to like help support and create memories for these people.
Right.
And like he created a lasting memory for
sure.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's I wasn't cognizant of how that impacted my life until much later, and I definitely didn't say, I want to pay it forward and I want to do that for somebody else in the future. But I do feel like a sense of hospitality all the time, and it's something that grows stronger the longer I've been in this business. I look at restauranting as throwing a party every day. You just don't know who's on the guest list.
That's real.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get it could be somebody. It could be somebody
but
know.
Sometimes I want to know who's over there. Sometimes.
Well,
Who's
yeah,
all over
and
there?
you know what? Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Like you know, you look at the reservation book and you're like, okay, this family's coming in. I know them. This guy's coming in.
Yes.
Oh no, this person's coming in.
Right.
I do like that. I like when you're at a place and there's regulars and you have like found a way to make this spot feel like close to home for them. Right. That's amazing. I love seeing the same names on reservations because then you know what they like, you know what they don't like. And it's easier for the front of house staff as well because their expectations are set.
It's great to see too how technology has
influenced
that and made that better, where you don't have a handwritten note with chicken scratch in there about something. You got it typed up and you get a little receipt every time somebody comes in for the reservation, and the host hands it to the server and is like, this person likes X, Y, and Z, They
call that a chit.
Yes. And the next level of that is like the book of like faces of important people. Have you ever worked at a place like? Yeah, obviously you have. Yeah. You too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Until I was like at Green River, RIP, and the hosts like had a test about it, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
but it's also how I was able to identify Daddy Phil from the Tribune.
Oh, yeah. That's what Daddy Phil. Yeah.
Yeah.
That took me by surprise, but yeah,
it's good to know when
Big Daddy P.
Yes,
it's good to know when somebody is reviewing your restaurant.
Yeah, or
potentially is reviewing your restaurant.
Yeah,
right. Well, and there was a time back, in my fine dining days, to where at a certain point I felt like it was a little bit invasive, but also I was just like, it's on the internet.
It's also on the internet.
It was a great tool to kind of assist in the like curation of their experience, and especially when you think of like that caliber of culinary and artistry and service, it's just like every little detail matters.
Yeah,
and it's just like it constantly, kind of pushes the needle to make sure that like you're at the top of your shit at all times.
But how far is too far,
That's
until it's not real.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They're not getting an organic experience. They're getting something that is, what that person's like is, or what negative comment they had about a previous establishment and how those words affected it, So for me, like, I almost wouldn't want to know, because I would like them to get an authentic experience.
Yeah.
Because when you get a VIP who's in the restaurant and they get way too much attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not.
I also feel like that's just like thrown around a lot. Not everybody can be a VIP, okay?
Everyone is a VIP.
Well, yes, but also
you're not wrong about that.
Yeah, but it's like
that's like the thing.
Yeah, it's like treating people.
It's just treat people like you.
Like treat them the same as everyone else. Like, my serving style has always been like super professional, but then also like if we can have a little bit of fun, it's just like then
when you see that crack, you see that crack in the veneer, and the people are like, they make a comment or they say something that's maybe a little racy or something, and you're like, oh, is this a direction that they want to go?
Yeah.
Can we let our hair down and kind of be a little more real?
Situation,
it's just like I'm providing a service, and you're coming here for this experience, and I don't live here. Like I have other interests outside of what is on your plate and what is in your glass. I would
just
like to know where you're from, even though nobody asked me where the hell I'm from. But that's
what
fine.
I'm saying.
It's fine.
I like to like talk to people like they're my gay best friends. That's how I approach it.
That's great.
And if you have a problem with that, then you have a problem with yourself. That's how I believe it.
Yeah.
But I'm also like a very stubborn person, and I don't change who I am for anyone anymore. So
That's fair.
I think also like being from the chef perspective and having to deal with people who like come in and they want to fight with me about, is this really the fish that you said it is on the menu? And I'm like, here is the purchase tag from it. This is a picture of it, what it looked like when it came in. Like, I think now, like when I worked front of house this summer, I was like, I don't give a fuck. We're hanging out. I'm talking to people. We're making eye contact. It's great. Just give it to me.
Yeah, just like we're actual people.
Yeah. And that's what we need to like get across to people, is that we're not like AI.
And you know what?
Right.
If COVID has done anything positive, I've seen a lot of positive change in the restaurant industry, because it has been pointed out that we are real people.
Yeah.
And we are real people that can be affected by this.
Right.
Whether it's, I'm not talking about getting sick from it, because anybody could get sick anywhere from it, but it's the way that you treat people, and you realize that a bully coming in from a state that doesn't wear masks, who's going to treat you ill, doesn't have a place in that establishment. And back in the day, you would say,
you do everything
sir,
to
I'm
compensate.
so sorry,
Yep.
I offended you by that. And in the case that I've come across now recently is we can stand up for ourselves and
Exactly.
for our team and say,
Right.
sir, you're not welcome here if you're not going to abide by the rules. So,
and it's great to be able to have like agency, like for your industry.
Yeah.
The old adage of, the customer is always right. Don't get me started about that. It's just like, it's such a minimizing statement because it completely neglects that there is an additional party involved with that whole interaction, and it becomes submissive.
For sure. I grew up working in either corporate restaurants or like waiting tables and bartending at corporate restaurants or semi-corporate restaurants. And I remember working in Florida for these three guys that owned a liquor store.
Where in Florida?
Naples, Florida.
Oh, I've not been there.
Naples,
but
Florida
only been there
is nice and pleasant and very white.
I
and
wish you could see your face.
Boring and very. It was a good place to make a living. The restauranting community, we knew what to do after hours to experience life that was not what Naples was curated for.
Yeah.
Anyhow, these guys opened up a place called the Ridgeport Pub, RIP. And I remember being a server there, and an older woman had sent back a strip steak and said that there's a lot of fat on it. And I brought it back to the kitchen, and the owner was there and goes, Dan, I know you come from a corporate background. He's like, the customer is not always right. He goes, come with me. We walk out to this woman. He goes, ma'am, have you ever had a strip steak before? And she goes,
Oh my God.
Of course, I've had hundreds of them. And he goes, have you ever noticed that one whole side of the steak has a fat cap on the side of it?
Yep.
And she was like, well, there's more than usual. And he was like, are you asking me to take another $7 steak out of my fridge and put it on the grill and cook the exact same piece of meat for you?
Yeah.
And he was like, I don't appreciate you. I don't appreciate you spending the money that I work hard for to get another steak that's going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
He's like, you can have this one or you could have something else that you're going to pay for both.
And in my mind,
I love that.
Hero is playing.
Yeah,
I love
no,
that.
100%. Because is the customer always right? No, but should we make them feel that they're taken care of? Yes.
Yes.
If it is, you know what? It's our fault. We overcooked it. We will absolutely replace it. I am not a fan of somebody saying, I don't like this. you know, if the description is on the menu, it's hard for a restaurant owner. I've never been a restaurant owner, but I know it's got to be hard for the restaurant owner to take on that responsibility that somebody says, oh, I've never had duck before, I'm going to order duck, and oh, the duck came out and I don't like duck.
Yeah.
Well, why should the owner have to pay for that?
Exactly.
Right.
You know,
And-
Essentially compensate for your like
Poor
experimentation.
choices. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why, like, whenever I'm writing out stuff for a menu, I put the flavor profiles that are like going to be the strangest into it, because I've personally never gone to a restaurant and like was like, oh, these are all the things they have on the menu. Let me make my own plate by being like, can I have a little bit of this, a little bit of that? And I would never send something back. I would rather die.
I always thought that it was a learning thing, right? When I was a kid, it's like if you, and maybe this is, you know, my parents going, if you're going to order it, like I'd say, I've never had this. I want to order this. I'm interested in having whatever. They're like, that's what you're going to eat.
Yeah.
And
straight up.
It wasn't like a wasting issue, but it's like, it was your call. You order it. You either have it or you don't have something else.
That's how I felt.
You know?
Oh my God.
That's how I felt.
That's
the first
how
time
I-
I had
yeah.
a Southwestern egg roll. Best decision of my fucking life. It's
I had one
delicious.
for the
Yeah.
first time last
amazing.
year when we went to Disney.
Life changing.
Changed my life.
See?
Ordered it for pickup at a Chili's in Florida. Whew. Crazy.
I am going to out myself right now. I have had those. But usually the dipping sauce, if I recall, that comes with like an avocado ranch, right?
Yes.
I hate ranch dressing.
I mean, I don't disagree with that statement.
I mean,
I'm a blue cheese gal.
100%.
no, can't do.
Yes.
Can't. No, like, so I can have blue cheese on like a charcuterie board. You know, just, you know, sound fancy as hell over here.
Listen.
But it's just like, blue cheese dressing, keep it away from
I've
me.
always loved
because
it.
Hot wings with blue cheese.
Yeah, that's what I'm fucking saying.
Yes.
No, can't do it. I cannot think of blue cheese without thinking of the most problematic salad on the face of the planet.
Which one?
And that's a fucking Cobb salad. I hate a Cobb salad.
I love a Cobb salad.
I-
Give me that shit. It's trash can food. It's literally everything in there.
I cannot do it. For me,
I'm like
it's just
racking
a
my
Cobb
mind to
salad
see. Have
is
you
the
ever
same as
ordered a
fucking
salad
quiche,
when we go
okay?
somewhere?
No.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was like,
No.
we've definitely been out eating. I'm like, did you eat a salad?
Can we get somebody to go get us Cobb salads?
You know, I'll
Let's do
see.
this.
I'll see if Daniel's free. I know he's running around like doing all of these
I
things.
almost got one when I went to
to.
Portillo's the other day. Exactly. Almost got one at Well,
can't do it.
my brother has been. He
Cobb
was here
salad and
all
a
of
quiche
last
for me.
week.
Can't do either one.
That's fair.
Quiche is disgusting to me.
My brother was
Can't
in
do it.
town all of last week, and he made me do Chicago shit like 100% of the time. And he read about the cake shake on their website, and at this point, he had been
Oh my
here
God,
for like
I thought you were
5
gonna
days.
say like the chocolate shake from Wiener Circle, and I was like, you went there with your okay?
Listen,
Listen,
I thought about it, but I'm not that cruel.
okay, it's fine.
But I
Dan, you know
almost
the
got that
chocolate
salad.
shake from Wiener Circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Him
those
from
of you
here.
that do not know,
Look it
feel
up.
free to visit the Wiener Circle and treat yourself. And I'll just leave it at that.
Oh my God. I love the Wiener Circle. I follow them on Instagram, and I was here for Brickgate, which was happening like all of last week or the week before. Someone just snapped and threw a brick through their window, and the Wiener sleuths found the like getaway car and then like trace it to this like lady, and then so they're trying to figure
Internet
out.
sleuths are wildly impressive.
Yo, don't fuck with cats showed me the
Yeah,
power
that-
of
yeah,
internet
that- yeah,
sleuths.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
oh shit.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, let's go back to the course. I feel like for regular people listening to this, they're like, these bitches cannot stay on topic. But I feel like restaurant
like,
people
beautifully
live
on
in that
topic.
mindset because
Yeah.
you're having constant conversations with everyone all the time.
Yeah.
And they just all sort of like become one at some
sure.
point.
I mean, I think the restaurant industry, for those of us, you know, we work in a very short-term, high pressure kind of situation that could very easily change
Yeah.
from second to second, you know?
Right.
And
It does change from second to second.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. And I loved bartending and sitting in a bar, and I had 20 different people sitting around me, and I had 20 different 5-second conversations, and it keeps you entertained, but it makes the day go by faster,
Yeah.
And
But it can also be like mentally taxing as well.
Oh, 100%. The restaurant industry is not for everybody.
No.
No, not at all.
If you
But I
have
feel like
anxiety, it's not.
Yeah.
I
was thinking back to when I was bartending at an extremely popular and well-known brewery here in Chicago.
Oh my God.
And Friday day shifts were the jam. And for, the crew from back then that may be listening, I just think of being there in that environment part-time for 5 years, those regulars became family, but also it's just damn, Justin, how did you juggle all of these different ass conversations? But it made sense because it was this amalgamation of everyone finding different, different cultural touch points with everyone.
Yeah.
They would come in with one other person, or they would come in by themselves, and it'd be the main person that tied them all together. Just eventually it just became this whole family.
Yep.
Sitting at that bar. And sometimes I would just walk into the cooler and I'm just I just need to exhale because been running off at the mouth for 6 hours right now.
Would you say every time before you went into the cooler, you were just waiting to exhale?
Okay, you know what? That is fucking hysterical. And thank you so much for saying that. God damn it. God damn it.
Oh my God. Wait, before we continue, what was the fucking Instagram reel that I sent you?
It was so dumb.
What was it though?
I forget.
No, I'm going to remember this.
Okay.
It was a dude and he's sitting on some stairs and he's making nope, I can't.
No, there were no stairs involved. No.
He was sitting on stairs.
Was he?
Continue your conversation.
No problem. Dan, hi.
Hi. Send it to me, will you?
I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
all I need to do is look at it.
Yeah, she's fine.
Oh.
Okay.
So 2 fans
Oh my God.
are hanging out in a field, and one fan says to the other, "What kind of music are you into?" And the other fan said, "I don't really listen to music, but I'm a huge metal fan."
Stupid. But we'll give.
That's my
snaps.
favorite. I love stupid jokes. I love
Do you want to hear
it.
another one?
Yes.
All day.
Okay. Well, our listeners have heard this before, but I don't give a
God.
shit. But I do appreciate everyone that's listening. What did the buffalo say to his son when he was leaving?
What'd he say?
Bison.
A groaner goes a long way with me.
I'm just you know what? It's
Do I have to say it? Do I have to tell one now too?
Yeah, no,
Yes,
you do. Yeah, no,
absolutely. This is a round table.
I'll tell you my favorite one, and it's stupid, and I love it. So a guy walks into a bar with a steering wheel in the front of his pants, and the bartender goes, "Hey, buddy, what's the deal with the steering wheel?" And he goes, "Arg, it's driving me nuts."
Oh my God. Okay. All right. Well, then I raise you one more before we get back to
Get
this.
in there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. What kind of pants does Super Mario wear?
do tell.
Denim.
That's good.
Thank you so much.
You know what? Laura Green is going to appreciate that joke.
I'm pretty sure I've said that joke to her.
Probably 110%.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of our connections.
Yes. So shout out to Laura Louise Green of Healthy Poor.
Yes.
Well, I was just we're going to make you the commander of transitions here because let's talk about how you know Laura.
So
Because that was a while ago,
It was. And have not physically seen Laura in a while, but
Same.
Thanks to Instagram and Facebook and what have you, social media does allow us the opportunity to keep in touch with each other and know what's going on in people's world. And sometimes you reach out, sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
Laura was a server for me when I worked at a British pub concept that was in Chicago.
I believe it's still there.
Do
right?
we name? I don't know. Do we drop names? Do we not
Depends
drop
on your
names?
It depends on how
comfortability.
you feel.
Yeah.
I have no problem saying Elephant and Castle.
Okay. Okay.
Bang on
Okay.
was their tagline, and I still think this day it's pretty hilarious that we had that on
Yeah, I was
everything. We literally
was
had
like,
that on
bang on.
every
I was
piece
like,
of like material was bang on. And
It's okay. I just realized that the Pequod's whale has a thong on his like face. That's like what that thing is on it. And it's like a whale tail joke.
Huh.
And I just got it last week because I took
I
my brother
just
for deep
got it
dish.
now.
Yeah. And we were just like sitting there and I was like,
That's amazing.
oh, okay.
Well,
It just be like that sometimes.
all
Yeah.
the more reason for me to finally go to Pequod's.
Yeah.
you've never been to Pequod's?
I know, right?
It's
Sir.
Listen, there are so many big boxes, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I'm been in Chicago for the better part of 30 some years, and Pequod's has always been a place I'm like, let's go there. And then I'm like, I don't really like that neighborhood. Like Lincoln
Yeah,
Park to
fair.
me was always a place that I steered away from
That's true. Yeah.
for various reasons.
I think
We'll
there's
probably get into
another
that stuff later on. But
I think there's another location in the suburbs
Yes.
as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
One of the groves.
Yeah, it's somewhere.
or
it's-
grooves.
Could be.
Look at you, Dan. Look at see, this is the level of comfortability I'm searching for. This is great. Well, and so like the one thing that I will mention about Pequod's, outside of the fact that it's absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
There have been times to where I'm just like, God damn it, like I would love like a thin crust pizza from Pequod's, and I'll like call them or like go online and order direct.
Yeah.
Let's make that very clear. And it'll be like, oh yeah, that should get to you like 6:30, and I'm just like, ma'am, it's 2 p.m.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I wait that long, I will simply be called home.
You'll perish.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
will perish. And I'm like, well, we'll try next time. And like
No,
every
it
time,
is. You
and I
do have
love
to,
that
like,
they're
sit
that
down
busy.
for a
I love
wait.
that they're that busy. So
It takes like an hour if you get the deep dish, like 45 minutes to an hour. But what I like about it is that they put so much cheese in it that when it starts melting, like literally half of the crust on the outside is caramelized cheese, which is like my favorite part of it.
it's great.
That's it. That was my selling point.
When cheese gets crunchy,
Yes.
it's all good.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I actually eat the
swoon.
crust there. Because sometimes I'm like,
Are you not a pizza crust eater?
I'm a thin crust pizza bitch. Like
So
forever.
do you go down and you get, if there's sauce on there, you're going to eat it,
I
but
will
then
eat
you're
it to
going to
the
leave the dry crumb
If there's
on the
a
side?
dipping situation, I will
I'm not.
eat it.
But
I'm not-
I can't eat dry crust. No, there's got to be sauce on it.
You know what? Take a bite of the center if you're doing pie cut. I'm a pie cut person. I'm not the tavern cut.
Yeah.
So you take a bite of the inside where all the cheese and the sauce is, and then turn and get a bite off the crust. So you're mixing the two together.
I've literally watched people
Huh.
eat them like reverse. For that, they start at the crust and they go in. And I'm like, that seems like sociopathic tendencies to
That
me.
stresses me out.
But
You run out
if
of a
I'm
handle.
like, when
There's
I'm in
no
New
built-in
York,
handle.
All right.
I fold the slice in half so that it drips, all the oil and stuff drips on, so then I can eat the crust because it actually has like a little bit of something.
Huh.
You should be proud of me because I was going to say lube.
People who have a physical reaction to what should be a very average word, right? When you're talking about chocolate cake, right?
It's
What
moist.
is the word? Right,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
See,
It's
moist doesn't
Why
bother
does that
me.
bother people?
I don't know.
Yeah, moist doesn't
I
bother
don't think
me.
I have a word that bothers me. I don't. I don't. I was thinking about it.
All right.
we'll
find one.
I mean, go for it. I
Okay.
don't fuck with black eyed peas. That's like the only thing that like gives me a like a
Like-
physical
like the
response.
food
Like the
or the
food.
band?
I mean,
I was like, which one?
the band.
Yeah, which one? Also,
I mean-
have you never heard that? One, always wash your black eyed peas. but you eat black eyed peas on New Year's.
I know. I'm from a Caribbean island.
I was like,
I don't do it. I don't like the texture of it. I don't like the smell of it. I don't like the taste of it.
Hot sauce.
It doesn't work. It coats my mouth in a way that I don't like. I hate it. And I am in a full relationship with a Southern man, and he doesn't understand it. So he can make that shit on his own. I ain't never learning how to do that.
You're like, that just simply ain't happening.
I draw the line.
So
you got to have your standards.
Yeah, and that's it.
So we have talked about quite a few things already. I want to shift into really continuing to talk deeper about not only your career within hospitality on the management side, but just your kind of philosophy within the industry. Because one of our, preliminary conversations was this acknowledgement of, a certain position, a certain, longevity within the industry, and how, just calling it as it is, being a white man of positioning in this industry, building bridges and opportunities for those that may not be able to access them. And I think that it's really important for people to understand what real allyship looks like, and making sure that people that surround them and people that are tasked with guiding them really do meet them where they are and kind of help foster their interest within all aspects of the hospitality space. And I know I just hit you with a big whopper of a question.
No, when we first talked, we had a real conversation about race and its place in the restaurant industry and the state of it. And we'll start by saying that I've been in the restaurant business as a busser, as a dishwasher, as a cook, as a kid who was learning to speak Spanish in high school and was cooking during the summer. And I got a chance to learn how to speak Spanish because of the immersion of being on a line with 4 other guys and nobody was speaking English. Mm-hmm. And then moved to front of the house and was a server and became a bartender and became a manager and et cetera, et cetera. And first of all, we're all in it together. We're there to make sure that the person who comes in and is spending money that is inevitably paying our paycheck has a good time. So there is no place for petty bullshit, which is somebody going, I don't like you because of your skin color or your hair color or you're pierced or you're not pierced or you're tattooed or you're not tattooed. I'm an older person who's been in the restaurant industry a long time and I've seen a lot of changes. And I remember the very first time I saw a restaurant that had a server that looked like me outside of work. Mm-hmm. Time was the restaurant that was on Grand and Halstead. And I remember going there and it was the first time where the server's uniform was just a black t-shirt. And I was like, all right, that's cool. And the guy who came up to take my order had his earrings in, and this was in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And everybody had their earrings in, but God forbid, you go to the restaurant with your earrings in. And like I was a server and I was told, hey, you got to take it out. You got to take it out. If you had tattoos had to be covered up. And here was a guy who had, a tattoo on his arm and a couple piercings, and he was at work. And I was like, wow, that's enlightening. Like, why should that matter?
110.
And I'm just take that same idea for everything else. Like, if you're left-handed, I'm going to make accommodations to help you being left-handed. Like if you're black, if you're white, if you're Asian, if you have an accent, if you don't have an accent, like we're all just trying to make a living. And we've chose to do it in a hospitality field because either it was easy for us to fall into, I didn't need to get an education, specifically, go to college to become a server and spend money to do that, or because I just like it.
Yeah.
It's separating yourself for isms in the industry is not good. It's not good for your career, and it's not good for the people that are around you. And you never know who's around you until you get to know your staff.
Yep.
Right. You gotta talk to your people and they gotta be able to feel comfortable to talk to you.
Right.
Because you never know who's the next, amazing chef who is in the kitchen, or amazing server, or amazing manager, or whatever. You just have to treat everybody as an equal and not be afraid to get your hands dirty.
Yep.
And I don't care if I'm working in a restaurant and I'm wearing a suit and a tie. If a table needs to get bussed because somebody's waiting for that table, like, I'm going to bust the table.
You damn right.
Absolutely.
And if the food's getting backed up in the kitchen and somebody needs to run the food out, I got arms,
Yeah.
Let's do it. And I think I would like to think that's helped me in my career is, just treating people the same. And I
It seems like such a basic concept when you hear someone talk about it, but it's so rare to see it in action in places that I've worked. And I'm glad that there are some people who have sort of operated with that sense of agency for such a long time, because I feel like it's difficult to find places that want to see growth and change of their employees. And it's not just come in, do what you got to do. I don't want to hear any bullshit. Go home.
I wouldn't have gotten to become a manager. I wasn't even thinking that I was a manager until a guy who I worked with was like, you should be a manager. And I was like, really? Why? And talked me about it. And I enjoy it. I do enjoy being a manager and kind of not controlling things, but, orchestrating things.
Right. And so
Say it.
It's just it's truly baffling to me what can be accomplished when you have intentionality behind it and you approach things with an openness, as opposed to, the industry in general will always tell you that it's just it's equal opportunity, it's, X, Y, and Z. But there is a structural design component of the hospitality industry to where it is traditionally and very visibly at, countless concepts to where
a white man's world.
Yes, and it is white bodies in the front of house and black and brown bodies in the back of house. And it's pay attention anywhere.
Yeah.
That you go, and one has to ask, how and why does that happen?
Exactly.
And part of that has to do with the fact that the industry is open. It's just it allows so many different people from different walks of life to enter it. However, there never seems to be the trajectory to make it sustainable, whether it's, wage inequity, whether it's just, sharing of resources and things like that. One thing that we have talked about quite recently, just actually in the last episode, is that of gatekeeping. As Nariba said earlier, this white man's world. It's again, building these bridges for accessibility for the minorities that are such a presence and a force within the industry, and not having it inflate another business model specifically that they simply can't access.
I think it also has a lot to do with culture as well, because even if we go back to the episode of when we talked with Ryan, we
love Ryan Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I had a lot of issues. I've always had a lot of family issues, and I didn't know how to separate myself. And now after years of therapy, I have boundaries. And I feel my boundaries weren't set up to drop what's going on at home and go into work and be fine. And I think that what people don't understand is that trauma and how people experience it varies from culture to culture. Right. And I think that a lot of the way that rules have been set up when it comes to human resources in particular, it's based on people who live in an ideal world where life doesn't impact their ability to show up and be a person for work. And like, honestly, I would say the same as I said before. Like, I was a hot mess. Like, I don't blame anyone for being frustrated with me and my ability to show up. But we talked about that, and he was even saying that, like, it's not something that I ever had to think about. And some of the situations that I was going through sounded so unrealistic that, like, they're like, this has to be made up. And it's like, no, it's mental health issues, it's poverty issues. And it's like a lot of my white counterparts never had to like have an issue. They could show up an hour early for their shift and work for free. Crazy. And I was just like, this is a job. I love it, but it's a job. And my whole family is like they're the people that are going to be there for me at the end of the day, like in reality. So I think that's a lot of nuance as well going into.
And the terminology of just family in general within the context of the industry.
Yeah.
It's just that's a highly problematic statement, and it's a slippery slope, you know, like the intention of, you know, is family. It's just like, it's very ingrained, it's very soulful. It's, you know, there's a legacy aspect to it as well. And so it's like just referring to that of family for the people that you work with. It just hits on different levels, right? Because just looking at it culturally, black and brown people, you know, sometimes are coming from like broken homes and, you know, things like that. So when you say that, you instill something like deep within like their psyche, to where it's just like, you know, it's like I finally have like someone that's like looking out for me, but they also might, you know, curse me out over like, you know, some bullshit, but it's fine.
Your rutabaga isn't diced perfectly. I'm throwing it all out, and you have to start over again.
Right, and it's just like, you know, yeah, it's like we chef, yes chef. It's like it's all of those things, but it's really necessary for people to know that they should be able to lean on their leadership and their colleagues to figure out ways to find their own happiness within the industry. And it's not connected to like, you know, you'll live here for like, you know, 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
And, you know, there is no work-life balance. And, you know, even at that 70 hours a week, you're still like, fuck, like, how am I going to pay my things? You know, it's just like 70 hours a week becomes the new 40-hour work week, because you're simply just like working your ass off to try and fucking survive.
And we're out here simping for like a 40-hour work week, and fucking Belgium was like, how about we break down these work days to just 4? What? What?
Yeah.
I want that.
It's funny. Like, I've not really delved outside of the restaurant industry. So the notion of working 40 hours, I'm like, what would I do with the rest of my time?
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. That's what I've learned to deal with in the last 2 years.
And again, you know, it takes a certain person to be in the restaurant industry, and it takes a certain mentality. And for you to survive, you can't buy into that ethos. Listen, would my wife appreciate me being at home more? Yeah, she probably would if I was working less hours. But I don't know. It's who I am, and I don't really count the hours. Definitely, there are days, you know, where
for sure, absolutely.
But you can be there for 14 hours, and it's 14 hours of greatness, and you can be there for 8 hours, and it's 8 hours of hell.
Yes.
Right.
So it really depends, and becoming a manager, I've always hired. I don't look at your resume and say, where have you worked? Tell me how you changed somebody's experience. You know, like
the tradition.
I don't look at it that way. I look at it as there's going to be a point where you're going to come back to the kitchen and you're going to say, table 23 is pissed because there wasn't supposed to be blue cheese on this Cobb salad.
Well, because, my dumbass ordered a fucking Cobb salad, you know, oops.
So you're going to come back to me and you're going to be stressed out because they're stressing you out. And I hire people because I'm going to go, there might be a time where I'm going to raise my voice because I'm going to need something, or there's going to be a time where you're going to come back and you're going to need something, and it's not personal.
Yeah.
So let's just get past it, and we just don't have to learn to enjoy each other's presence.
Yeah.
So I've always hired somebody for personality and for, I guess, what I would anticipate would be how they deal under a stressful situation.
Well, and then also that's such a, God damn it, Dan, because that's such a hospitable approach, and I have been quite vocal with my belief that the hospitality industry is the most inhospitable industry on the planet.
Yeah.
It's just it's literally just,
it can definitely wear you down.
Yeah, behind the curtain is just an entirely different reality. And
it can be.
Yeah.
It also can't be. Wanting to learn more and being interested in all sorts of things. I'll put on a documentary about something that I don't think I have any interest on, and I learn something great about it because somebody opens up and talks about a subject that I'm not super comfortable with or knowledgeable about. But that's the kind of thing that I think we in the restaurant industry maybe fall into. Like you were talking about, you were watching something and you're watching something else, we don't know when we're going to take that and bring it into work.
Exactly.
But it always seems that happens. You know what I mean?
It's a good way to establish communication with other people, because then you're teaching something to someone that might not have ever had that thought to be like, oh, I'm going to watch this thing. And then you're sharing ideas in the same way that you're sharing your knowledge about food, which is equally important to sustaining healthy work relationships, which I feel like we don't try to think about because we've been set up for capitalism.
Well, and so there's, another element to that as well, to where it's leave it at the door.
Yeah.
It's part of your reality ends because you're entering
work.
You're entering your place of employment.
One thing that I learned, and recently, I guess, more than anything else, is who you work for goes a long way with your happiness at work, and working in a place where you appreciate the people that appreciate you means a lot. And also working for somebody who idealistically you gel with is important as well, because there's nothing worse than working for that asshole who is a womanizer or says shit behind everybody else's backs. I think I told you a story before.
Yeah.
Of I came to a realization that the people that I was working for, you haven't heard this story, that the people that I was working for were not cool, right?
Yeah.
And I had heard people say, oh, they don't hire people of color. And I was like, well, I don't buy into that. So until that comes to me, it's hearsay, right?
Yeah.
So I hire somebody of color and nothing ever got said to me. And I was like, okay, maybe this is gossip. Maybe it's not gossip, et cetera, et cetera. There was a manager meeting and the guy who was high up in the company was talking about stuff. And he was saying one of the stores was dealing with theft in the employee room. And he used a negative word and said, those people will take anything that's not stapled down. And I looked around the room and everybody else was just kind of taking this. And I was like,
what?
Right.
And we finished our meeting. I got in my car. I drove to work. I immediately called my boss, who was below this guy, and said, hey, I'm giving you my notice. I'm quitting effective, as soon as is possible. And she was like, why? What happened? I told her, and she was like, yeah, that's how it is. She's like, I'm going to tell everybody.
That's not how it is.
So what she means is
that's the company's situation.
That's the company.
Yeah,
the company is a bunch of older white dudes who, when they're around other white dudes, think that everybody is on that same page, and not everybody is on that same page. And I
know about that.
And I was like, I could either be part of the problem and allow that to happen, or I could put my foot down and say something about it. So I said, I'm quitting. And she said, why? And I said, because I work for a bunch of people who are racist, and I'm not I don't want to associate myself with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the guy, she called him. He came down to the restaurant and was like, I brought my checkbook. What do I need to do to keep you here? Because you're doing great and we've got great ideas for you. And I said, nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't keep me here. And I said, I'd worked for them for 4 or 5 months. And I said, up until this point, I didn't didn't hear, see anything.
Yeah.
But like no offense to you, or maybe offense to you. I don't know you well enough, but you're racist.
Yeah.
You are racist. And I said it to the guy and he's like, well, how do you mean? He's like, I don't think that's true. And I said, this is what you just said a couple hours ago.
Literally just today.
And
How do
answer
racists feel as if like they're not racist?
It's meta. It's like some Jedi mind trick stuff, and it has a lot to do with like generational, like
I can see that.
what is it when you pass something down through verbal history? Does anyone remember that term? I can't remember. Sorry. Anyway, it's like oral history.
Yes,
and
oral
it's
history.
like
Yes.
you don't even realize that some of the things that you are being exposed to. And then when someone confronts like your grandparents about something that they said that might be racist, they're like, no, everyone's just so sensitive. And then it turns into like, it's based out of emotion, and they can separate the logic from the emotion. And what becomes logic is like what is indoctrinated through like generations of these conversations happening.
And this guy around everyone else, and when I originally was working with him, he was very hospitable, et cetera, but as soon as I said that came out and I called him out on it, and he was like, well, that's not racist, it's just true. And I was like, that's even more racist.
Wow, yeah. It's just like,
And I was like, I'm like, I don't want to be associated with you. I'm like, I appreciate the paycheck that I'm getting from you, and I appreciate the fact that you came here and you want to throw more money at me, but more money at me is not going to make me happier, and it's not gonna change who, you're only
and also it's very telling as to how to make problems go away, right?
Exactly.
Like, I mean,
we're only as good as our reputation is, and my reputation, I didn't want my reputation to be with he's the guy that works for that company that's really racist.
Especially since like you tried to go in there with an open mind about what other people were saying about them, and then you saw it and you're like, well, this is a decision that I have to make, because you know that there are people who like sort of warned you about it, and you're like, this is a bigger situation.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how like the backroom conversations of certain leadership within the industry is some of the most disgusting there is, because you don't necessarily always have to hear what they're saying. You know what they're saying based off of the merits of their actions. And it brings me back to my earlier point about this like cultural design within the industry, to where it's black and brown bodies in the back, and it's V white up front. I've been really vocal about my experience within the industry, which as a queer person of color, it's not common. I've never worked a support position. I have, I've served, I've bartended, I've consulted on like, multiple projects. I, have, interacted with different brands and like so on and so forth. And you kind of have to ask the question as to like, why is that?
Girl, we talked about this.
Exactly.
We know what it is.
But
it's the perception of your closeness to whiteness.
Right.
You're very well spoken and educated, and like that's how I've managed to make it that far. And not only that, but you're like hungry and you want to learn and you want to be there. And I think that those things come together in a way that doesn't signify privilege, which is a lot of like what most people in the industry are giving. They're giving that they have the privilege to be there, and you like earned that, and you had to work for that shit, you know? Plus you're that guy.
Okay, so that guy. Thank you, the industry guys, supposedly, as people have been referring to out here.
Yeah, that guy, industry guy.
And so, before we, kind of go into another question or two, I just want to liven this up a little bit, because this little.
Who is she? What's in her? Tell me more.
This is giving me island vibes. I almost said island boy, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. But so, again, from our friends at Seedlip, this delicious concoction is with Seedlip citrus, key lime juice, Coco Lopez, and some muddled blueberry. It's giving me like, I know I said a shake earlier. It's giving me that.
It's got the body of a shake, yeah.
It's got the body. See, she got all these curves and I ain't got no breaks. You know? Because that's how I feel. There it is. And if everyone could see Naripa's face right now, it is choice. So, yes.
Usually I don't fuck like coconut, like coconutty things, but
no, it's great.
I fucked with this. So,
Dan, I think it's, we've touched upon this, but I think it's really important to just come out and ask you. It's been a, wild couple of years, but like, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Thank you. I count myself blessed. I'm not a religious person, so maybe blessed isn't the best word, but it gives out the right connotation. That I acknowledge the positive things that I have in my life. And one of those is that even though people around me, people very close to me, suffer with mental health issues, like I've skirted by the things, and I have not suffered nearly as bad as I think a lot of other people have. A lot of people who they got their outlet from their friendship or from going to work or from getting out of the house and going for a walk someplace, right? And then we all shut the world down around us, and there were a lot of people who didn't have roommates and they lived on their own and they were independent, and that independence became a cell. And it was hard for people, and I had 7 months off where I was at home, and it was the best 7 months of my life. Like I was surrounded by my family and my kids and my dog. And I, looking back, wish I would have done more with our time. But, we were stuck in the house, and it was spent a lot of time playing board games and like watching movies together and playing video games with my kids, and just I had a great time with it.
Yeah.
My kids missed their friends, and it was harder for them. But I'm good. I enjoyed it. If it happens again, I'm going to look for the silver lining and just try to enjoy it,
Right.
Which is hard to do if you're suffering. I was not suffering, and I found that silver lining and enjoyed it. So how are you doing? How are you guys doing?
Has anyone asked us how we're doing?
I think this might be a first.
This is the first. Well, I'm doing a lot better now. Thank you, Dan. Nothing against anyone else. I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, that just hits different. That felt great. Thank you. But I'm well. I think, I've made numerous jokes about how, just like put me back under quarantine, okay? I'm like, give me the Tiger King part of quarantine. Give me the what is time part of quarantine. Because I was extremely, extremely impressed and inspired about how the industry truly rallied for one another when I felt like the landscape before was very, it was very secular. It's just like we're doing our thing over here, you're doing your thing over there. It's just like, of course, like, there's camaraderie because we're all dealing with the same like shit, just within different spaces.
Yeah.
But now it's like, it felt like it was less of like your livelihood, but like you're really like, the loss of, your culture was at stake, It's just like hospitality is such an integral part of community, and it's like to not be able to like interact within that realm. That was really like just
taxing.
Yeah, it was really taxing.
And then getting back into it, you got like, I came back to work and I did not come back into the healthiest of environments because we were super short staffed. And I think that's where it exposed a lot of the unright things that are in the restaurant industry. And I think the best thing that's come out of this too is the fact that the hourly worker puts their foot down and goes,
"You damn right.
You pay me more money."
Absolutely.
Minimum wage is $15. So I'm going to pay you $15. And they're like, no. You're like, I want to do this job for you and I want to get X amount of dollars. And as I'm sure the owners of the restaurant we're not super excited about the fact that they see their labor percentage going up. If I could get nerdy in numbers on you, you're like, hey, that's money that's coming right out of my pocket. But for me, I like to root for the underdog. I like to look at that and go, these are the people that I've worked with my entire life, and to see them not have to get minimum wage, but to be able to have an asking rate for stuff, and that's spilled through everything. Management salaries have gone up, and the only, unfortunately, the people that are working for tips, that hasn't really gone up very much.
Yeah.
Right.
But I have seen, and maybe it's the places that I've worked at, the people that I've been working with at restaurants are fortunate enough, but there is a clientele that's out there that is appreciative of people going back to work and putting themselves out there. And I have seen, on a net, that gratuities have gone up percentage wise. So, I'm hoping that is real, and it's not just me taking a look at a P&L and seeing it once in a while. But, it seems like it's not perfect.
No.
It's not a livable wage, but it's better than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also like that, that saying is just like, get a job. It's just like, how many jobs you want people to have out here?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, that's the thing. I think most recently I've been like learning about what I want really, and like how I want to spend my time and my energy and stuff. And I think that the pandemic for me was really rough in the beginning, because like I wasn't used to having more than like 3 days off in a row, like once every like 6 months. And it was so much downtime that I felt insane. And then I felt also burnt out after like working for 8 years straight with like no real like breaks or vacations in between. So I was like, oh, like I'm going to take this time. And then I worked for a CBD company. And that's when I realized that I can work 40 hours a week and make a livable wage and have benefits and have paid time off without it being like a salary position or like losing my entire mind. Right. And I think that going back into the food industry now, I'm unwilling to like work at most places. If I'm going to work somewhere, I want to like know someone who has had experience there, what their experience of the situation is, and like not taking their experience for granted or lightly before
like the
making
Glassdoor theory.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, like I feel like we're at a place where, because the demand is there for people to bring people in, that you can go in there and say, I don't work Saturdays. Like, if you want to hire me, good. My one thing is I don't want to work Saturdays. And
right.
That was a deal. That used to be a deal breaker before. You're like, you're coming in, you're going to work Saturday and Sunday brunch. That's where you're going to start off. Nobody wants to work brunch. You're going to do it. And you're like, well, shit. I need somebody on Saturdays also, but I do need somebody the other 6 days of the week. So something is better than nothing. And I'm willing to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of workers kind of come together and put their foot down and ask for what they want. And it's not always doable, but it really depends on the situation. If you happen to walk into the right restaurant at the right time and you put, you ask for something, it might, in the old days being 2019, right?
The before times.
The before times.
Yes.
Yes.
That was absolute no. And now it's like I got to think about it.
Right.
So
it's real. I am seeing the change slowly happen in the industry, and like the culture sort of like
sticks.
I hope it sticks. That's what I'm saying. Like, is it going to be a Teflon situation, or is it going to actually move forward? And I'm hoping it's the latter, because I've had some of like my greatest experiences in life from working in kitchens. And I think that like a lot of people feel like it's not something that they could do. I feel like the industry in itself sort of gatekeeps like people from coming into it. But I think that I'm hoping that there's a real like cultural shift across the entire like board because it can't just be like in the nooks of like fine or finer or casual dining. It has to be like fast food. It has to be everywhere.
Yeah.
So, you know,
It's been like I went through a drive-through restaurant, took my kids someplace. I don't want to support Chick-fil-A, but my kid likes Chick-fil-A and has a lot of friends that, you know, for me, I have not done the deep dive research, but there's some negative things that I've heard that they support. And for me, like I could live my life not eating one of those.
You don't even have to go that deep.
Right.
Yeah.
It's right there.
My kid has a very particular, he's picky eater, and he wanted Chick-fil-A, and I was like, all right, fine, we'll go there. And I go through the drive-through, and to my surprise, they're like, we're paying $19 an hour, and pick what subscription we want, because we're going to get you a subscription to Spotify or HBO Plus or Hulu, whatever you want. We're going to get this for you too. And I was
they understand the incentives.
Yeah.
They get it.
I thought you were going to say they understood the assignment, and I was going to scream.
No.
And listen, that's $10 a month, right? We're not talking about something big, but it's a gesture that would never have been out there before.
No. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Well, I have to.
I know. This is
time.
like a firm situation.
Yeah. So, Dan, before, we do the things that we have to do, where can people find you?
I can be found in the service industry.
He's like,
Great
I'm
answer.
not putting my Instagram out there.
Great answer. Yeah?
No.
I would not be hard to find if you wanted to find me.
Great.
Fair.
Dan
I like
Mason,
that.
Chicago. If you want to talk about restaurant industry, that is my Instagram. Not anything fun.
It's okay.
Yeah.
People call me Danager. They're like, you should change your name to Danager. And I'm like, that's too cute for me. I'm like,
See, and I stopped myself from this entire conversation to be like, how many times have you been called Danager? Because I already know the answer. I don't know.
Lieutenant Dan, Danager.
Lieutenant Danimal.
Sure. Yeah.
See, there we go. There's that
For
one.
a long time, I went by my last name, and because Dan sounds too much like damn or man or and I was always looking around my shoulder, and Mason sounds not like many other things.
It's very, very definitive. Yes.
And so I went by that by a long time. I'll answer to anything. I have a number.
Same.
I have a number of regulars that call me Dave, and I just don't correct them.
Yes. Well, that's awesome. One thing that I will mention, not just from myself, but, the entire crew, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us. We know that these conversations can feel a little, nerve-wracking, because they're conversations that people typically have between close friends or like close colleagues, or even just behind closed doors to, make sure that their actions match their mindset. So thank you so much for that. Also, on my end, I would like to thank our wonderful partner here at Blind Barber for hosting this necessary conversation. Also, thank you so much to Seedlip for the support. And I definitely just want to drop this little reminder because our friends at Seedlip back in April, they were thrilled to announce becoming a member of 1% for the Planet. And through their bespoke process with each botanical, Seedlip captures the essence of nature to invigorate the senses and connect people to nature and to their roots. And they are extremely happy to announce that they are partnered with We Got Next. And you're going to be asking me, what is We Got Next? And We Got Next amplifies individual stories of adventure and activism from communities that have been underrepresented in outdoor conservation and environmental spaces. So thank you so much again to Seedlip, and also the entire Terms of Service crew.
The squad, yes.
Yes, the squad, the team, Rick, Daniel, Ryan, Max, you, Nariba, obviously,
Is Cortez still here?
Cortez. Yeah.
Thank you, Justin.
It is my pleasure. And in closing, I am Justin Arnett Graham, and you can find me on Instagram at This Is Biko.
And my name is Nariba Shepherd. You can find me on Instagram at Rebaru, Rebaru. And I hope that we'll have some words for you soon. Have a good one.
Peace.